We've got a great panel lined up today with insights around how companies in different sectors are actually implementing ESG strategies. And so I'd love to start there. I'd love to hear from all three of our panelists on how you choose which ESG goals to prioritize. And Logan, why don't we start here with you?
Great, and thank you so much for having me. So, every few years we conduct a materiality assessment where we're going out to all of our stakeholders and really just asking them, where are the opportunities and where do they see the biggest impact to our business from an ESG perspective. And we ask internally of our employees, our board of directors, our management team, as well as investors, academics, NGOs, et cetera. And from there, we prioritize, where the biggest opportunities are, and then we set our strategy against that. And so in 2019, after we had conducted a materiality assessment, we identified our social fabric, which is our strategy for ESG, focused on 3 pillars of people, planet, and communities, and have set specific 2025 targets against those. And we obviously, every few years, we refresh that and make sure that we're looking at the most impactful and meaningful targets that our stakeholders care most about.
So setting that goal with 2025 being that key date to watch. So then I guess, Gayle, from the 3M perspective, how do you think about where you should be putting the most focus on your ESG initiatives?
Yeah, thanks again for bringing me on. It's a pleasure to join you, and a great topic. So similarly to Logan, at 3M, we conduct a materiality study that informs our information. So we do that every other year, and we do an employee survey at the same time and really compile those data from a variety of different sources to tell us where they think we can both make a difference and where we have a responsibility to make a difference. We set forward a strategic sustainability framework based on what they told us where we thought we could make the biggest difference was around science. And so we have 3 areas where we focus our science. It's around science for circular, to advance a global circular economy, science for climate, because we want to really reinvent the way we can do things to help address climate challenges and to improve energy efficiency for us and for our customers. And finally, it's around communities. And there's a number of different ways we bring forward that science for circular, science for climate, science for communities, really using that skill set that we have and that opportunity that we have to make an impact. And we've been at this since publishing a sustainability report since 1990, and try to improve and get better and more focused on what's current any given year.
I imagine there's been a lot of changes since 1990, given that ESG is now so much more in the forefront of the conversation. And I guess, Jim, you're coming at it from a slightly different perspective from a healthcare company. So how does that influence how you think about ESG?
It's a great way of setting it up, Pippa, and thank you for having us here as well. At Lilly, we make medicine. And there's a couple of things that are important about that as we think about our sustainability strategy. The first is that it takes a decade or more from an idea in a scientist's mind in Lilly Research Labs until the miracle of a new medicine in a patient's hands who needs it. So that conditions us to think in long-term horizons. Both that purpose of making medicines and this long-term view is really the foundation of all of our sustainability thinking as well. So as we adopted a new sustainability and ESG specifically strategy about 3 years ago, we found that we were largely focused on these topics all along. We're just amplifying, creating more integration, more consistent integrated communications around them. So similar to your other panelists, we did a materiality assessment. We talked to a lot of different stakeholders to identify the things that matter to us as a pharma company, us as Eli Lilly specifically, and us as an important member of the communities in which we operate. We concluded with 13 topics that we have on our website, esg.lilly.com. There's my commercial. But interestingly enough, of those 13 topics, really only 2 are unique to being a pharma company: access and affordability and patient safety. The other 11 really could be any industry: climate, waste, water, human rights, ethics and compliance, good governance, community engagement, and so on. So we find that as we look at our company operating in a long-term time horizon, being sustainable for the long run, not only is good for the societies and the patients we serve, but also good for the company playing the long-term game.
So all 3 of you talked about how your companies have reports and have looked at these issues from various perspectives, but sometimes it's difficult to translate these high-level findings into the nitty-gritty. So how exactly do you turn those insights into actionable things for day-to-day people, whether it be the communities you serve or your employees? And I guess, Gayle, starting with you, how do you make sure those high-level goals trickle down to the day-to-day?
Yeah, well, so for every goal that we set, we put forward what we call our math with a path, and that shows exactly in our operations or with our customers, what are the key projects, what are the key initiatives that we need to drive to get to those big term goals. But one of the super fun things about working with 3M is we have such a diversity of products. We have consumer products, we have healthcare products, electronics, broad industry, automotive, et cetera. So, you can kind of pick your favorite. One of the ones that's launched recently is Scotch Cushion Lock. So I know I'm actually somebody who's really loved bubble wrap, but now we have a paper-based product, 100% recycled content, 100% recyclable, and it has 85% less space, so that when you pull it out to go for packing, kind of like replacing bubble wrap, you can stretch it and it forms the surface, and then you can fully recycle it when it arrives at its end destination. Another one would be Thinsulate, based on 100% recycled content, partnered with a local Minneapolis company to create the world's first climate-positive jacket for winter wear. And then things like Scotch-Brite scouring solutions, where we use fully recycled fibers to make them. So, those are the types of things that, we touch from a consumer perspective. But that gets amplified when you go into the industrial areas, really, and you're talking about construction and content for construction and innovative ways to address climate or circularity challenges, and as well as automobiles, modernizing transportation for electric vehicle fleets or improved energy efficiency, or the healthcare space, like Jim was mentioning, so many great solutions to really help customers and help patients, as well as addressing challenges of our time from, circular economy to climate.
And picking up on your mention of a more sustainable jacket, Logan, the retail industry has faced a lot of criticism for the sometimes wasteful nature of fast fashion and things like that. So how at Tapestry are you using the high-level goals you've set forward to actually promote product circularity or other initiatives?
Yeah, we've definitely been leaning into circularity over the last couple of years, and most recently joined the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, sort of the leading organization promoting a circular economy, and have some pretty exciting initiatives coming up in the next couple of days. So definitely keep an eye out on that. But I think, a couple of years ago we launched a program at Coach brand called Coach Reloved, and really it was our opportunity to really build on the success of building sort of products that have been crafted to last, and making sure that we're increasing the longevity and the durability of those products. And we've been doing repair in our New Jersey workshop for decades now, and so this was an opportunity to continue to engage with the customer and find ways to bring products back, products that maybe were slightly damaged, products that weren't necessarily ready for being sold, and finding a way to sort of upcraft them in a way that creates sort of unique and exciting new products for our customers, and really leaning into this idea of circularity, finding ways to continue to build products with safe and renewable materials, continue to increase the utilization of those products through things like Coach Reloved, as well as finding ways to basically design products to be made again, right? How do you create circular pathways for our products, and really this is an area of opportunity for us, and one that I think we're really sort of set up in a good position for.
And it's not just in fashion where circularity is a focus, Jim, that's also in the healthcare industry, but I imagine you face a whole host of different challenges, given that the majority of your products are designed to be single use. So how do you approach circularity from Eli Lilly's perspective?
You're spot on. It is a central question for us, but a very different set of circumstances than in a retail setting. At Lilly, serving people with diabetes is a big part of our business, and you're correct. A lot of our insulin and other products for diabetes are delivered through an injection. And when we develop an injection device, we call them devices, we have a few primary considerations: safety, efficacy, patient experience. And we can't compromise on those things. So those conditions, those factors really inform how we design and build our injection devices. With that said, we're really looking at those items now, analyzing all of the componentry, all of the tolerances and expectations we have to understand if there are ways for us to design future generation devices with a more circular mindset in mind. So the first concern, the first thing to tackle is really how we make the devices. The second big question is how to get them back. These are medical devices that have pharmaceutical residue in them, that have a needle on them, and maybe have biological waste from having been injected into a human being. So those are a whole set of complicated circumstances. And then how do we get those back from the patients that use them? There are a lot of patients, a lot of devices. So we've actually launched a pilot program in Germany where we've set up partners in primarily pharmacies and done a lot of advertising around it, where patients can bring their devices back to the pharmacy, and then there's a circular way of collecting those devices back, disassembling them, breaking them down, and then we're pursuing chemical ways of then extracting feedstock from that residual plastic back into new plastics that can be built from those chemicals. So something we're looking at, but I would say quite a bit more complicated than some other industries.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear how the same theme touches different industries and how the approach has to be so different based on your company. Now, taking a step back for one moment, the macro economic backdrop has changed a lot recently, and there's all these concerns about a recession. We're seeing layoffs, consumers are pinched. And so if we do head into a downturn, how do you make sure that ESG is still at the forefront, is still prioritized, and is still a need to have versus a nice to have, which is, perhaps more apparent during a bull market? And I guess, Logan, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question, and I think what we're seeing is that, even though there are some definite headwinds, we are seeing that our customers still care about this topic, and our stakeholders still care about this topic. We definitely have to create a really strong value proposition. We need to continue to make high quality, durable products, but I think we can continue to do that in a sustainable way. And I think what we're seeing with some of the investments that we've made and our focus on environmentally preferred materials, they're actually, it doesn't always mean an increase in cost. It doesn't always mean a higher cost product. There are actual opportunities for sort of financial benefit from these initiatives and these activities. And the fact is, we've taken a long-term approach. We've got goals out to 2025, we've got goals out to 2030, and we've developed accountabilities specifically in our organization where ESG as a topic is all the way up to the board, and we regularly meet with our board of directors, making sure that we're both delivering on what we've committed to and planning for building a resilient and de-risking our supply chain and making sure we're able to continue to deliver those high quality products to our customers.
And Jim, how do you make sure this stays at the forefront when there are so many other concerns right now?
We view sustainability and ESG as how we do what we do. We're in the business of making medicines, and we view taking care of the planet, taking care of our employees, being a good member of the community, working hard to get access to our medicines to the patients who need them. Those are fundamental to how we run the place every day. So we don't view our ESG efforts as a sidebar, an extracurricular, heaven forbid, a distraction at all. These are central topics to the way we run our business. So we always need to focus on the things that matter and respond to the environment around us. But economic changes, regulatory changes, I think those things just help ground us, help us refocus that we're in the business of making medicines for the long run. So focusing on these ESG topics continues to be how we should run the place each day.
And Gayle, I'll ask the same to you.
Yeah, I think great answers from Logan and Jim, and I'd echo those in terms of we see it as core to our culture. Back in 1975, we set up a program called Pollution Prevention Pays, and so that's been brought into the way we do business in many different ways. But we realize that sustainability and ESG it can be an innovative engine. In fact, one of the things that I'm super proud of is that we've brought forward a sustainability value commitment requirement for every new product we launch, so that in addition to making sure that it is effective for our customers and that it is cost effective and we can manufacture it reliably all around the world, we make sure that we're considering the environmental and social factors as well. It just brings in together this new way of thinking about every piece of innovation, from the the earliest pieces, and that they're considering the environment and social consequences as well. So we're super excited about that. All of our goals are set up. They're ranging from maturity between 2025 and 2050. They're set up with milestones along the way. And in some of them, like our renewable energy efforts or our carbon emissions reductions, we're quite ahead of plan, and we can decide during a more challenging financial time, do we keep that going at the rate we have it? We know which projects to do, which ones, or is this a time that we're going to scale back on that momentarily in light of some other priorities? But I think that when it's at the center of who the company is and how people choose to spend their flexible time, what we call our 15% culture, it really builds a momentum on itself. Our employees take it very seriously, and we work heavily on that. We recognize that a big piece of the company comes from those non-financial elements, and we actually redesigned our board. We have 4 committees in our bylaws from the board, and now one of them has been redesigned to be our Science, Technology, and Sustainability Committee. So it's at the highest levels of the organization throughout how people spend their time and think about how they can make an impact, yes, financially, but also beyond that.
We are almost out of time here, so just to sum things up very quickly, rapid fire round. What is your company's ESG initiative that's gotten the most success, and what is the area where you still need to do the most work? Jim?
Rapid fire, and I'm the first one up. I would say we've been pursuing improvements in diversity, equity, and inclusion for quite a while. It's been a real priority of our chairman, Dave Ricks, and we've done a lot of innovative things where we learn about our patients, a patient experience, and we've applied that internally to an employee experience, and that's really helped us build out our people strategy. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is a highlight for us. The environmental front, we've got our goals out to 2030 there. I think similar to other companies, you got to do a lot of things differently. You have to run the place differently. You have to have different infrastructure to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, for example. We have a goal to be carbon neutral in our own operations by 2030. You can't start that effort in 2029. So that's an area where it's deliberately a runway. We're on it. We're keeping score. We're making progress over time, but it's something that we'll continue to need to monitor and invest in.
And Gayle, quickly, how about at 3M?
Yeah, I'd say that the scientific efforts that we've brought forward to reduce our carbon footprint more than 75% since 2002 and help our customers reduce theirs, that's a big effort, and that's made some really nice impacts. One of the areas where I feel like we still have some opportunities and focus is our global diversity. That's something that we've set goals on, and we've made progress, but just not fast enough.
And Logan, your turn.
Yeah, I think sort of as has been discussed, we submitted a science-based target and really focused on the impacts of climate change on our business and looking specifically at our highest volume material, so leather, and really taking an end-to-end approach, looking at sort of what is commitments to that we've made to WWF, multi-year grants are focused on deforestation conversion-free programs, looking at things like regenerative agriculture in the supply chain, as well as making sure that more than 90% of our leather is coming from leather working group gold and silver rated tanneries, and we're happy to say we're at 80% on our 2025 goal, and really continuing to invest in sort of those new opportunities, and most recently, looking at investments and have made investments in recycled leather, and really taking an end-to-end approach on the leather supply chain.